so sorry. I'm so sorry. I pressed the wrong button. But this is awesome. I didn't lose anyone, I hope. Yay. You guys have any more questions for me? Type related? Dream project. I would love to animate a sequence of frame by frame for a title, I don't know, like a title sequence for like a big animation, like for an animation project. I think that's kind of, or no, I actually want to do an animated book cover. Because I know that there's a lot of book covers that are becoming more digital and becoming available on iBooks and Amazon and e-readers. And I think if I can make a cover that's animated, you know, that would just be so sweet. But they don't feature that. They don't have that available yet. So if that ever happens, I'm gonna jump right on that as soon as possible. The market. What's the market like for letters? I know a lot of letters who are currently freelance. There doesn't seem to be a lot of. I don't know of many staff positions for lettering, so it's something that I include in a lot of my work as a designer. But I don't think my agency would necessarily hire specifically just for a specific niche skill like lettering. There's something that's kind of in the same ballpark, which is kind of like type design. And I think people would hire for type design because lettering is only like a small facet of your abilities as a type designer, because you're drawing individual letters and that will get eventually created into a typeface available for download for people. And those things can get pretty pricey, so because there's so much work involved in those. And more for like what kinds of projects are available for letterers. If you're thinking about like the kinds of projects, I haven't. It's a lot of like editorial, branding, like packaging design. I think you have to think of it in the same vein as like illustration. Let me see. Oh, so when letters get hired from project to project, that's like if they're getting freelancers. So depending on a project that we have available, then we'll think of a designer, or in this case, a letterer, if they would work or if they're able to kind of execute the style we had in mind. So if you're someone who works as a freelancer, you want to have that kind of style established and your ability to be like known, like, hey, I know this person can do this type of script. Or if you want to use the examples of the letters that I indicated, like someone who can do something that is really well detailed and really elaborate. And I think either any one of those letters could be a good fit for them. So not only do you have to be a good fit in terms of style, but you also have to be available, and being local is very helpful too. So just because there are all these people who are doing these things. They're still like, you know, they're still in a different area. You're the person who's going to be localized in your, you know, in your market. So you can be seen as that expert for the people that you're in contact with and being available. So you just need to know, like, okay, what kind of work do I want to do? What do I want to be known for? And just keep creating that so people can find you for it and hire you just for that specific style. Two friends that are full-time for companies. Wait, Austin, who do you know who works for Yelp? Is it Winston? Because he's really cool. And I know who you're talking. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you know everyone. We went to karaoke last weekend. But yeah, I think they do focus entirely on lettering projects. I didn't know that they even did, like, I didn't even know Winston did normal design because I thought he just focused on lettering. So it's interesting that the type of work that you project is different from the work that you might actually do. So if you're in a certain field, you can still project a different thing. Because I still do illustration and other types of design. Like, I create ebooks and infographics at work, but in my free time, I try to make time for animation and lettering. So it's involved. If someone wants to get into type design, I would start drawing as many types of as many types of different fonts as you can possibly have. I mean, you already have a lot of fonts available to you right now, but I think there's a site that I think I want to show you that we've been doing in school. So this is called Type Cooker, and it's pretty much a website that kind of just brings all these different classifications of type together, and it kind of randomizes it. So it randomizes it so you have width, which is like, so this typeface is like a little narrow. The width of the type that it's asking you to do is extended. The contrast amount is low. So, and they have like different descriptions for all of them. And based on this kind of type cooker, you're going to like make a typeface, and it helps you just kind of know the difference between making something wide, making something low contrast. So it's like, what does that look like? What does stroke endings are supposed to look like? And these are kind of like ways on how you can really study like different classifications. So you can get really like, so I think we're about here in like, okay, descenders, and that's like stuff that comes out of like the end of the typeface. And looking at stems, like what you can do to them. Like, I think when you start out, it's like, okay, this is just like the basic knowledge of typefaces and really like looking at the details of how things can be created. And then you can get really fun and like really pushing like the sizes and different optical, you know, what are the applications for it? What, like making a companion or all that stuff. There's also some books that I am really I really enjoy. I use this one, like The Anatomy of Type. This has a lot of different typefaces in here, so if you want to like study all the different, you know, like how they're kind of built, they kind of go into like all the different anatomy of it in all different kinds of faces that are already out there. So you can really like look at the differences and know what makes that typeface very specific and very unique to them. I use that as a reference when I'm like trying to do a type cooker and I need to, oh crap, how do I do a serif like this, and what does a wide sans look like, or, you know, like how do they handle the G's? So books are really helpful. I have really good ones in my library just for reference, like The Elements of Typographic Style by Robert Bringhurst. This is also really good in like the history and just using it in proportions with stuff. So it's proportions on a page. I think having like knowing where to find good type to reference from is a really good way to start incorporating into your work. Because I think there's been like such a long history of type that people have already thought of it and they've already figured it out, so you don't need to start away from scratch. And then another one I got from Type Ed is this one, Thinking with Type. And then I think this is more in the applications of the typeface rather than looking at them individually. So you can kind of see like how layout is handled with a display, or, you know, like how they can handle it in like in infographics where it's just type. There's a lot of great resources out there for people to just, you know, learn from and study from, because it's been around for a long time. And yeah, typography is such a deep field of its own, and it's not something that I even really thought about when I was in art school initially. It was like one class, and I only took just the bare bones of a class, and our teacher actually cut off, he like came into class, he brought in a fish, and then he cut off its head, and he said, "This is what type is," and he showed us the bone of the fish, and he's like, "This is like how you develop type," and it was really conceptual. So when you're studying looking for type now, like knowing like all the different ways it can be used is a really powerful thing, and how invisible it's become to us now. So knowing it is like another field of itself. And I think there's very few certificates and things that are available to pursue further education in it. And I think there's one in San Francisco, there's one in New York, there's one in the Netherlands, and maybe one in London, maybe one in Spain. I don't know. So it's such a niche thing, but it's also so rewarding, and it's so fun because it's, if you're into like problem solving, like I started in computer science, and having like a right way to do the letter S is amazing. It's like solving for X, or solving for, you know, like getting the program to run without any problems. So it's great. The fish was already dead. He brought in a dead fish. I think it would totally, it just works, Michael. Just bring in the dead fish. Just, as long as it, it's already dead. It was pretty wild. But you gotta get like the smell and stuff in there somehow. Gotta give like the real experience. So yeah, I don't know. Type is really insane. Like, look at this. This is insane. This is like people are already working on it. Yeah, any last questions for me? Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I hope it's been really helpful for you guys. If you guys have any more questions, just reach out. I'm happy to answer anything. And, keep up the good work. If you guys are still doing Mograph Mentor, if you guys are in the class, like if you're in the thick of it, keep it up, because it's really rewarding to like have a finished product and have something to show for it. Like, yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Marcus. You guys are typing. Several people are typing. And I can post the links of those books if you guys are interested in getting them. Yeah, thank you. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram and watch all those upcoming posts, because if I put it out there, now I'll definitely have to do them. Follow me on Instagram. It'll put a lot of pressure on me. All 100 Days of Cell. 100 Days of Cell animation? Oh. Okay, well, we don't have to take... Okay, I'm gonna go now. Thanks, Austin. Yeah, well, I'm gonna go. And it was great chatting with you guys. See you on the interwebs. Bye.